Friday night lights, college dreams. But most players never make it past high school. When the dream ends, life just begins. Some made the league, but when the game ends, depression, anxiety, financial
Oh, wow. Greetings and welcome to Life After the Gridiron. This is Suave Walker, Dr. Suave Walker, better known as Dr. Brother Suave. Hey, we're unfortunate tonight we didn't have opportunity to have our tonight's guest, but guess what? Me and my co-host, the Super Bowl champion Lionel Jellyroll Dalton, what we're going to do is we're going to discuss what we initially came to do the show on, and it's Life After the Gridiron, talking about life after the gridiron. The gridiron is just basically a metaphor for veterans, NFL players. It could be basketball players, could be any professional athletes, or whatever you try to rediscover yourself after your playing days over or your military career service over. So just going to start off by a little bit about myself. I'm a retired psychotherapist, but also a retired law enforcement officer, a decorated Marine of Operation Desert Storm. I was an educator. I was an administrator, VP of Public Relations for the Regional Community Collaboration on Violence, but also was a professional wrestler. So as you know, anytime you do those things, you have a lot of sometimes trauma from the injuries. You have a lot of experiences, and your body just don't necessarily act right. So a lot of times, once the lights go off, all the accolades and all the praises, you find yourself trying to figure out who you are. And so this is what we're going to be focusing on, not just on ourselves, but for the veterans, the military, the athletes, and everything. So we're going to go in. We're going to have just a organic dialogue. But so without further ado, I'm going to introduce my amazing co-host and Super Bowl champion, Lionel Jellyroll Dalton. Welcome, brother.
What's up, Suave? My apologies. My brother Burnett was having some technical difficulties with his computer and his phone, and he couldn't come on tonight. We're gonna have him on in the future. But what I really wanted to get on is why we did the show, and my purpose was, as a player, I've always been advocate for the guys, and I've always get constant conversation. I played on multiple teams, so let me tell you my background first. So my background is I played in the NFL for 10 years. Won Super Bowl 35 in Tampa Bay, Florida. Went on to play for the Chiefs, Denver Broncos, Houston Texans, and I did a year with the Washington Redskins. Throughout my I was a journeyman. So throughout my journey, I met players from different walks of life, different parts of the world, and I made a lot of good friends. When I retired, I had a lot of guys call in. I used to check on guys, and guys would call and check on me. And one thing I remember hearing, probably my third or fourth year out, or most guys when they retire, when they third or fourth year out, they don't know who am I outside of the game. And a lot of guys try different things, but some guys try things that can cause issues. Some guys have brain issues where they can't really do anything. And so what I want to do is to reach out and tell those guys stories and hopefully collaborate with the NFL, with the military, because we have soldiers who are going through the same thing. That's kind of how we fell into this together. We realized my NFL brothers and your military brothers have very similar issues. We're going through a lot of the same things, trying to redefine our careers and who we are after the game or after serving. And so we're really here to bring together resources and tell stories about our fallen heroes. They're still out there. We don't want them to be forgotten, and we want to just keep people abreast of what's going on with the players. And because all you hear about is going into the league or going into the military and the opportunities you have. Going to the military, you get a free education, you get to travel, you get to be stationed all across different parts of the world. I'm sure that's amazing. And for NFL, you get to make good money, you get to travel, you get to live a different lifestyle. That's all you hear, but you don't hear the stories that I've heard when I retired. And Suave heard when he left the armed forces. I'm like, I know a lot of us know what's going on with the soldier because it's so many of them. And so a lot of us have soldiers in our life and we know what they go through. But the NFL story, a lot of people just figure they made a lot of money and they're all right. Don't worry about them. But a lot of these guys are going through mental issues that we just don't talk about, or we like to sweep up under the rug. Thank God for the movie
Mm-hmm.
Concussion. That brought attention to it. But it's a lot of
Yeah.
guys that need help, a lot of guys that's underserved, a lot of guys with mental issues where they just can't even. A lot of guys don't even know they have pensions. You'll be
Yes.
surprised what a lot of these players are dealing with. And you think about the average career, especially when I played, it was like 2 to 3 years, and the most one season you probably made after taxes during that time, if you just had the standard contract, maybe $150,000. If you play 3 years, hundred fifty
Yeah.
thousand dollars, and from 22 to 26, you can't live off that for the rest of your life. And
No, you
so a lot of
cannot.
people got this stigma that everybody's like millionaire. Everybody want fortune of. I played 10 years, but well, I got guys who only played 2 years, and they back working in the plant like everybody else in Detroit, because they got they got family and they to feed. So we just here to shed light on their stories and come together and collaborate and find resources for these guys. So that was my motivation to actually start this podcast with you.
Yes, I definitely agree. I remember we did a little commercial, and it was talking about two brothers, one fought on the field and one fought on the battlefield. One man was a defensive tackle and the other one was a Marine. We had two different uniforms, but we still fought the same war inside, dealing with injuries, head injuries, trauma, and all these things, the physical things, the mental health issues and stuff like that. So I wanted to share a little bit about myself. Again, I'm a veteran of Operation Desert Storm. And again, and as a person who experienced all that trauma and all that, the thing is you don't realize the things that bother you. And I remember we had an incoming, and I remember getting knocked completely out. So of course, like football, you have the issues, and being a Marine Corps, anybody know about the Marines, we super tough, gong ho,
Right.
man. So luckily my best friends was there. So they had my back. We didn't have to play the macho thing, but overall, I still was in that social construct of like, man, I got to get it together. Once I got my nugget right. But guess what? You fought, you go to war. I did some amazing things in combat. However, years later, I remember, again, I'm a retired psychotherapist, worked 3 decades, and I remember having my first episode. My first episode was I did my regular routine of having my breakfast, doing my exercise, and getting myself and write my little things to do. So I went around I think I went to one school. It was closed. So I'm like, today is Monday. Why is the school closed? But I didn't make it a big deal. So I went to the bank. So the bank was closed. And I'm like, what is going on? So I went to another school that was closed. I'm like, maybe it's a fire drill and they in the back of the school. Unreasonable rationalizing what's going on. So then I go to another bank. The bank's closed. So I call the bank. And say, hey, what's going on? Is today a holiday or something? What is going on? Bruh, they tell me today is Sunday. And I said, if today's Sunday, why are you answering the phone? They said this is after hours, whatever they said. And I'm like, now watch my face. And I start hyperventilating. And when I say hyperventilating, I'm losing my mind because I'm doing everything that I do on Monday. But in my brain, it was Monday. But although the reality it was Sunday. And you know how like when a lot of times people are experiencing CTE and traumatic brain injuries, they always say something wrong with my brain. However, I couldn't figure out. I was hyperventilating. I started crying like I'm losing my mind. And I remember making this call my brother, just asking what's going on with me. And he said, go get yourself checked out, man. Go get yourself, because he knew the concussions I had. He said, go get yourself checked out. And I went to the VA. They did some scans on me. And later on, I don't know exactly when I got my results. And I was informed I had traumatic brain injury. And it was saying that it was severe. And they was wondering why I was even functioning. Why I was even functioning at that level when I had severe brain damage. So a lot of times, man, these are serious things that we go through and nobody knows. You know how we said the silent killer? And even
Mhm.
today, I can, anybody know me, and if they know me closely, intimately, they can see the change in my speech pattern, my stuttering. I have to focus, and my short term memory is absolutely crazy. It's terrible. As you see, you guys see me fumbling on the episodes because I'm having to look at my notes because certain things I just can't remember. But I'm trying my best, and I'm doing everything I can to just try to survive this TBI. And so we're here to try to bring awareness to a lot of things what professional athletes go through, veterans go through, and people go through after the lights are off. And these are all metaphors. When the lights go off, meaning when you're no longer in that spotlight, when you're no longer doing what you always love to do. And I'm especially empathetic for the professional athletes who go spend their whole lifetime doing it, a whole lifetime doing it. And then we know sports is a young man's sport. So you can be in your 30s or should I say late 20s, maybe early 30s, and then you're no longer playing. Who are you? Trying to navigate who you are. Because they say once a Marine's always a Marine, but I'm no longer a Marine. I'm no longer a professional athlete. I'm no longer a psychotherapist. I am a person who's advocating for people who are experiencing this. And it's just that this is serious, and we want to bring awareness to families, people, and make an informed decision about if they're going to allow their children to play these very aggressive and dangerous sports. But last week we had a very good guest who brought some insight and gave us a little different perspective on it. So I'm finished saying what I have to say, brother.
Quick question. So, do you think this was the right time for this show with everything going on in the world right now?
Um, Well, when it comes to advocating for people to improve their overall quality of life, I always think it's always a great time to advocate for them because it reminds me of when someone was talking about these people who they consider crazy, but when they always say they know when the world is going to end. Me, I said I could tell you when the world's going to end. They said, "Come on, here's another crazy person," and I said it's very simple. Whenever you pass, that's when the world's end. It ends for you. You can't say what tomorrow look like or anything. It's over for you. So you don't know if anything over. So when it comes to the right time, man, it's always a great time to advocate for people because people's lives are at stake. Is at risk. You know what I'm saying? You want to always advocate to change people overall quality of life. You understand? You remember the little commercial we did on AI saying, "I'm rich, but I cannot enjoy my money." So we want to advocate for people, bring
Yeah,
awareness. You know?
yeah. My wife asked me a question. I'm asking to you. She said, if people watch your show, what do you want them to take from it? And I thought about, I want them to take that. I want them to make informed decisions about putting a child and risking their child's health to make something that's only 1% of players can, 1% of men can do in the whole world. And to
Yes. Yes.
really evaluate that and look at their son, and do they see a professional athlete? Do you feel they have the potential, or you just want to be a supportive parent? Because sometimes it's not, or if Jimmy's, the smallest guy on the team and don't have any muscles naturally, it's a chance Jimmy not gonna make it to the next level. And is it worth putting Jimmy's life, brain, or health at risk just to chase a dream that only 1% of people in the United States can do? So my thing is to help parents make informed decisions and tell them the ins and outs and what's really life after playing football, not just the money and the glam and the, Odell Beckham dating Kim Kardashian. It's deeper than that. And it's more to it than just
Yeah.
what we see, what they show in media and on TV. In your opinion, what's the one thing you would like to see people pull away from when they watch our show?
Well, I would actually like them to gather the information. And again, the information that we're providing people it allows them to make an informed decision. I mean, yes, last week we had a guest, but also we have to always remember the exception. We're talking about across the scale. This is a very violent and dangerous sport. So is it worth it when you think about the exception? I don't like to factor in exceptions. I look at the norm. And when we look at it and based on the research, we're talking about 90% of people who play these violent sports have concussions, and it's just some of the things like MMA. I had some things that 99.9 have CTE, former NFL players, the college athletes, 91%, these have concussions. And so when we think about it, considering 1% makes it. Now, but I'm wondering what's percentage that stays, because remember getting drafted or making a team, but you did not necessarily say you're going to play this year or the next year or have a successful career. So you're considering all the trauma you put your body through, and elementary, middle school, high school, college. And then for some like myself who wanted to play the semi-pros, you're talking about a lot of injury. And then you remember how, like I remember they were sitting there and playing the semi-pros. They were like, why are you doing this? And I think it was you saying, they crazy. $500 a game or $1,000 a game to do that, the same thing. And here the professional athletes are making, what, close to $1 million a game or half a million. And it's not worth it.
The reason I said that, because I remember times I'm on the field playing and I'm making almost $1 million, but I'm asking God, it's like the middle of training camp, what else can I do to make this kind of money? And I'm asking this question and I'm making this kind of money. And I can't imagine somebody not making enough to pay all their bills and come out and do this type of damage to their body.
Yeah.
Especially semi-pro, those guys don't make any money. But you pretty much they pay to play in that league, so they paying to actually give themselves brain damage and damage their bodies long term. And I wonder, like, I always wonder what's the drive behind doing this and not getting paid for it, not getting paid money for. It's like going to war and not getting any benefits of the benefits you guys have in the military. You just out there going to war because you just want to be there, just because you want to go to war and you love your country, but you ain't getting paid nothing really, and you have no benefits. You just out there going to war. I don't understand the psyche behind those guys, and I always wonder why. Like, why are you doing this to yourself? Is it the love of the game, or you're still chasing a dream? Do some of these guys feel like they got a chance to go to NFL from semi-pro? I always wondered that.
Well, I think a lot of times, is that masculinity, that ego of doing something that many people wish to do but can't do, and then it becomes a social construct. Like, okay, ego driven. Like, for example, playing football. We already know it's 1%, but in one of my books I wrote the RRJ factor. And the RRJ factor means romanticize, rationalize, and justify. I romanticize about being a football player, right? I rationalize that maybe I can make it. And I justify why I'm doing it. So when you think about all that thing, knowing that, because you remember, everybody think they are the exception. And then remember my last book, The Suave, I said exception is what exception does, not what exception says. So the fact that you say you're the exception, you're the exception, you're not, because all the people who always say they're exception, just like everybody else. Exception is an action, and the action is the 1% people who make it. So take those things into consideration, man. You really have to think about, is it worth it? Because I truly believe it's just one of them things that maybe defines a basic man of like, I can do it. I can do it. I'm him. I can do it. But the reality is the numbers don't lie. The numbers do not lie. And I wanted to share this dealing with Department of Defense says over 313,000 U.S. troops and service members or in training, just basic training or in combat, they end up having traumatic brain injuries. And also the Department of Defense reports that over 313,000 again, U.S. troops have gotten traumatic brain injuries in combat and training. And this was a study done in 2023. So think about all the people. And I must say that the military did do me well. I must admit. And I wish that the NFL do justice for some of the former NFL players, because the fact that I have traumatic brain injuries and have other medical issues and stuff like that, I end up getting a great rating, which allows me to take care of myself. And that's something because I did fight for my country. I did experience a lot of, TBI, a lot of injuries and stuff like that. And I'm happy, because at the end of the day, I would not be able to function, because I remember during my last few years, really the last year after that first episode, I had to have an assistant trying to remind me of my sessions, and I would go out and be doing things, playing golf or doing something, and then my assistant would say, "Hey, you got a patient here waiting on you," and I'm like, "No," and they'll send me a text and screenshot, show me my schedule. I'm like, "Oh my God!" And so because I'm a person with integrity, I was like, you know what, especially when my business partner was like, "Hey, man, you, you know." We may have to go our separate ways, and so we did what we need to do, make things happen, and it was a very healthy split. But the reality is, I had to come to the conclusion that I was limited. My time was up.
What do y'all get traumatic brain injuries from? That's from explosions, or when did, like, give an example of, like, how does that happen to y'all in combat? It's from, like, hitting your head or explosions, or what
Yeah, you can
causes
get
traumatic brain injury in the military, in the armed forces? What's the
so
proper way of
okay.
saying it? I keep saying it wrong.
It's the same thing when you constantly getting concussions, bangs to your head when your brain is hitting your skull, and you can have that in training. You have things where you're falling, you hitting the ground, you hitting those stills, you have like you don't know about the military, but it's a tow gun, it's a metal thing, and you hit your head on there, you can slip and fall. You're talking about a lot of training. Is you're doing, like in the Marines, we did a lot of stuff. We did the pugils. We're talking about the constant banging on your head, man. And in my case, I hit my head straight forward, and then I bounced up and fell on my head. People say you didn't bump your head. Well, I had a serious concussion, and my concussion was so bad. I didn't remember speaking at my father's funeral. I didn't remember that till like 10 to 15 years later. I had no memory of it. And I remember my aunt gave me a VHS tape, and I actually saw it, and I'm like, I don't remember any of that. I didn't remember any of it. And that was another emotional moment for me, because I couldn't even remember I spoke at my father's funeral.
Yeah, I
So,
know a lot.
like I said, so when you're young, you don't remember, you think you're invincible, you feel like a superhero. And then the reality of life is that you're not that same person anymore.
Yeah, I know you guys go through it, because I had an old teammate of mine named Quasi. His name was Quasi, and
Okay.
Quasi was like the toughest guy on the team. Like, the older guys would wrestle the young guys, and he wanted to wrestle me because I'm the strongest on the team. He's that type of guy. And
Uh-huh.
Quasi was in the Marines as well, but he was a sniper. And he told me a
Mm,
story about one time he had to shoot a man who had some type of IUD, one of those things they throw and blow up. I don't know what it's called. And his daughter came and picked it up. And this girl's about 12. Then he had to shoot her and kill her. And then another little boy came out, about 7, and he said he almost didn't do it, but he had to kill that boy. But he nightmares about this little boy. Make a long story short, Quasi, he got out of the military, tucked his kids in bed, went in the basement, and shot himself in the heart.
hmm
And so I sympathize with not just the physical aspect of being in the military, but the mental aspect of seeing, the brains of a child that you had to blow his brains out because he was trying to protect. He thought he was doing right to protect his family, and Yeah, so I just think that that's those type of stories I think need to be told more about like the mental aspect of what that does to you guys, man, because I couldn't do it. I know I couldn't be in the military. I'm not built for that. But I just don't think a lot of your stories are shared. I still think y'all should get more benefits than you are getting. I know there's some homeless vets out there. I don't know if they just don't know because they're mentally like. Do you have vets that probably don't even know their benefits because they're so mentally messed up? Because when I was in
Okay.
Atlanta, I met guys living under the bridge, all types of places. One guy served in two wars. He said, "I'm like, there's no way you put your life on the line for this country that you should be homeless or need food." In my opinion.
Okay. Well, to have a better understanding, there is a system, and as you see, it's almost like um, you feel that after you've done so much for an organization, the league, the country, or the county, or even your family, if you don't advocate for yourself, you don't get anything. So when you see sometimes, like for example, when you apply for benefits as a result of mental and physical disabilities, as a result of in the military, or as a result of being a professional athlete, they rate you. You understand? They rate you. And they do that by doing physical and mental health examinations. And based on the severity of your physical or mental health, you get a rating. And when you say homeless, sometimes the person who may have to be a former professional athlete or a military person, they get ratings. So depending on how they're rated, that's how they compensate it. So the compensation dictates how you're able to take care of yourself. And the system itself don't necessarily feel because you served or because you played, you're going to get sufficient amount to take care of yourself for the rest of your days. Because at the end of the day, everything is budget, everything is business. So in my case, my experience looking at talking to other veterans who happen to be homeless. So let's say you get your percentage, right? And I just want you to know, remember the business. So so let's say you got a diagnosis for this,
Mhm.
and you got a diagnosis for that. And so it all adds up. But your total compensation end up being 60% out of 100, right? So let's say that 60% adds up to like $2,000, right? Now, we both know $2,000 can't get you to get an apartment, but watch
Down
transportation,
payment, right? Down pay,
yeah,
right?
down
Yeah,
first,
paying the
last,
utility bills, right?
utility bills, gas, auto insurance, renter's insurance, and
Right,
food. So when you consider a person who's on survival mode, they stay homeless, but they got their whole $2,000. You understand?
right.
So
Because
sometimes they just
all they can do is afford to eat. They gotta figure out
yeah,
what the priorities are, right?
yeah, they have to figure out like prioritizing. Yeah, I'm homeless, but I got money in my pocket. I get $2,000 a month.
Right.
You understand?
But
I can give myself,
what do a homeless person pick up $2,000 a month?
as I mentioned. Remember, I said based on your evaluation and your rating dictate your compensation. You get it?
I'm saying, but they don't have a physical address. What do they get the money? Is there a card or
Well,
how does that work?
a card. They can do their bank accounts and everything. Remember today's they have these mobile banks. And so they have their card and it just goes into that. You know,
Mhm.
or even if you know it goes in there. I don't know because I haven't been homeless, but they probably just
Right.
use a family member address and then
Right.
have them send their check there. But now a
Hmm.
lot of things is electronic. So, but again, when you look at it, a homeless person doesn't mean they're broke. They're just prioritizing. But also you got to consider substance abuse, mental health issues, because of
That's what I'm
direct correlation.
thinking. That's what I'm
Yeah.
thinking. Mental health issues because a lot of players, they talk about players blowing their money, but these dudes have damaged a part of their brain that does deal with reasoning.
Yes.
You're not
Reasoning.
thinking these guys 20 baby mothers or they don't think about the effect of this. after they, do the do. And a lot of
Yeah.
guys, I think, just lose that part of their, what's it, the frontal cortex, which deal with reasoning
Hmm.
of the
Yes.
brain. And so I'm trying to figure out, how do we combat that? How can we help that? Because I don't think there's nothing we
Well,
can do. We're not doctors. Like, I'm trying to figure out, of course, this dude don't have bad with money. He don't have the part of his brain to help him rationalize how to budget or how to make, sound decisions.
it's
So
funny that
how can somebody help that? How can you help the person that's dealing with that?
yeah, and I was going to say it's funny that you said I was speaking to someone that old coworker years ago, and he was I guess he obviously just became a hypnotherapist. So it was a post where a young lady was crashing out because she was upset as being a single parent, and so she was just saying all the stuff she was experiencing, that nobody cares and it's hard to do everything by herself. And so the gentleman asked me a question, what are you supposed to do? And he was saying, I can help this person. He was saying, what are you supposed to do? And so I explained to them about all the resources that are available. I said, she may be a single parent, she may this, but it's a system out there that gives food stamps, a system that gives welfare, it's a system that gives housing, it's a system that gives you food stamps and all those things. But the reality is the resources sometimes are there, but people don't apply for them because of their substance abuse issues, mental health issues, there's a direct correlation between substance abuse and mental health. Oh, it's a direct correlation between mental health and substance abuse. You understand? So
Right.
your reasoning and rational. So your main priority is, watch this, as a result of this mental health, you experiment with drugs and alcohol.
Right.
And as a result,
Self-diagnosing, self-medicating.
it
Right.
gets, no, not so, yeah, self-medicating, and it's getting worse. So the only thing you're thinking about is your baby, your drugs of choice, your alcohol or your drug. And your money is going into that. You're not thinking about shelter. You're just thinking about that fix, that hit. And so that overall impact. So you'll sit there and say, yeah, they're getting a check. And then you find out this person getting $2,300, $3,000 a month. But where's it going? Remember, they didn't blew their whole government check in 2 days, 3 days, spinning out. You understand? So we have to factor in
Yeah.
those things. And again, you can't help a person until they're ready. Many times people will come to me, Suave, listen, I got a family member, they should come see you. Or I got a person, they should come see you. And I'm like, well, I know you care about them. I know you want to go them to come see me. But until they're ready, all your recommendations, your prayer, your suggestion, they'll come when they're ready. And that's the same
And
thing.
But to play devil's advocate, I think it should be, they know guys dealing with these issues, right? So why don't they create an advocacy program to get out and reach out to these guys? Because these guys deal with mental issues. They're not thinking about that. And that's the problem I have. I understand that it's a choice to be homeless, but if there's a chance these guys have something going on mentally, it should be somebody out, fighting for these guys, showing them how benefits, looking for these guys, because they've done the ultimate sacrifice and putting your life on the line for the country. I think this country is in debt to the soldiers, and I think anybody who served, in any war shouldn't have to worry about food, shelter, or food or shelter.
Yeah. Yeah,
Point blank. I just don't.
yeah,
Go
I
ahead.
definitely agree with you. But what I want to do before we go any farther, because as being a hardcore dedicated Marine, I have issue with you keep saying soldier. I would rather you just say military personnel or veterans, but I am not a soldier. I'm a Marine, and I take issue with that. Okay, so yeah,
How we supposed to know that? We ain't in the military. We just know y'all all soldiers to us.
no,
How we supposed
soldiers
to
are
know
from the
that?
Army.
How am I supposed to know that?
First of all, how you know it is looking at our outstanding performance, our uniform, the very few, and they're the Marines. Okay, we do the
Oh
we guard the White House.
no.
We on Air Force Ones, and they pick the elite military force to guard the president. So
I
it's
know
a
y'all
huge
the
difference.
craziest out of all of them. I know y'all the
No,
craziest and most
no
dangerous.
we're the
I have an
bravest and the
uncle
most
who was in the
intelligent.
Marines. He do not talk, and I've been scared of that man since a little boy. I'm still scared of him. He don't talk,
It's
but I know he's violent.
mm-hmm. But it's just that
Yeah, I'm not.
stigma. But when you know the truth, you wouldn't just have a people who weren't extremely intelligent guarding the president in the White House. Just understand that. I understand. But you don't
Yeah, it
know,
gotta be a little.
as
It
you
gotta be a
say,
little crazy
how
too. We gotta be a little crazy too, though. Don't you? You gotta jump in front of the bullet, right?
no. So again, when people fight, again, you fight for the country.
Right.
You go ahead and play ball. But again, if you don't advocate for yourself, nobody's just going to give it to you. I'm sorry. It seems unfair, and
I
I
think it
agree. They
is,
should be
especially
pro.
for soldiers. I think no. You serving the war, they should be trying to give you money. In my opinion,
I
I think you
understand.
should be looking for these guys. They defending everybody's freedom. They putting their life on the line. They have family and kids. I just don't. I don't know, man. I think soldiers should make more money. That is like the
Yeah,
ultimate sacrifice, man.
it is.
And I
It is.
just
I have a scar that I have to look at every day of my life that reminds me of combat. You know,
that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know, man. I just feel like, man, I think like soldiers should get paid. At least everybody at least get a hundred something. Six figures for soldier. We print the way we print money, I mean, this is my
yeah.
opinion, but I'm not in the service. I just know I'm too scary to do it. And if somebody that's scary you do it, I think you should pay them well. Just like I think the teachers should get paid well. So this is
I
my
definitely agree
opinion.
with that. Yes, you
Yeah.
know, and again, there are systems, and hopefully, I just wish that that things would change because I've learned that people who have been in combat and people have done things for our country. And that's why, again, you and I are here. We're two brothers, two different battlefields, and we're trying to bring awareness. And one of the things, I would love more veterans to come on and share their story because I do know veterans who have same thing, fought for the country, served, and still struggling financially, still struggling mentally, still struggling physically. And they have done amazing things. You
Right.
remember like the movie First Blood, who was in charge of $1 million equipment, and then when they get back in the free world, they're not respected. They don't have this feeling like they got purpose, and they're treated like they're nobody. You know. And again, if you don't do
Mm-hmm.
certain things for yourself, that's why I'm a strong believer in advocacy. But I also know that if you don't fight for yourself, no one's going to do it for you. This old thing like nobody cares. So you have to care enough for yourself to advocate for yourself. Even when we think about the benefits we have, you had to fight and prove, even though it's documented, but to show that, hey, I did this. Here's the paperwork. Here's the pattern,
How do,
the paper
but how do
trail.
you but how do you know to do that if you got all types of mental issues? Like, what about these people who just some people out of it, man? Like I've seen some
Well,
soldiers just each day he don't know what he don't know what day it is. He's patriotic. He has his golf cart. Dude should be at this Target I'm at. And he just
okay,
lives up under this bridge. He has no idea. He just know he's serving in the military, but he doesn't know anything else. I can tell he's just gone. How do you like
okay. I'm going.
you just supposed to just leave those guys out there? Nobody's supposed to go help those brothers?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think, but you do understand it's a period where you from here that you get there. You remember how our bodies are? They're not the same. And so before it gets to that place, you understand? Before it gets to that place, you have to start doing something to advocate for yourself. You know, it's just like a person who's drunk one day and sober the next. They have to realize, like, okay, I'm sober today. Let me go do something about this. I know I was in the military. I know I'm hurt. I know I got an alcohol problem. I better go there and check myself in because you're not drunk 24 hours, 24/7, So when you're sober, you have to sometimes, that's why I say you got to advocate for yourself. It's the same thing when a parent know their child's on drugs. Until a child wants to get treatment, they're going to have to do it on their own. That's just how it is, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I
Definitely
mean,
unfortunate. I
it
would
is
like to
very
do more for
unfortunate.
those guys. I think we should do more for those guys. But yeah, I see what you're saying. You got to put the
You
effort
know?
in, but I know
You
guys who
know?
make millions of dollars. I know a very rich man trying to drive off a bridge and kill himself.
Yes.
He has a beautiful family, beautiful house. It's just not all registering upstairs. The game is
Yeah.
over and he lost and he don't know who the hell he is. And he's calling me, telling me that he wants to die. You know what I'm saying? So I know if a guy with all these resources doing it, what about a guy come from the military might not have as many resources? You know what I'm
Okay. Well,
saying? It's like,
everybody, but this is the thing, brother. What do you see every time? If you having suicidal thoughts, dial 911. Call 1-800-SUICIDE. There's always resources, but again, I remember I came up with this quote, but I was inspired by my mentor, Les Brown. He said, "You don't have to be great to get started, but you have to start to become great." And then inspired me to come up with my own philosophy. And it potential, initiative is nothing but a conversation with yourself and others and doing absolutely nothing. You can have all the potential in the world, but if you don't take the initiative, it's just like saying, I'm going to do this. I'm talking to myself or I'm telling you I'm going to do this. It doesn't matter. If I don't take the initiative, all that talk is for nothing.
but a lot
You
of it's
have to.
fear too, though. But a lot of fear because a lot of these guys, they take them to the ringer just to get those benefits, I heard.
Oh, I experienced it. But again, watch this. Let me ask you something. Did you have to fight hard to get in the league or they gave it to you? Tell me your journey.
I had to fight hard, but I didn't have a mental issue, though.
I
I didn't have a
understand,
mental
but
issue.
yes, but you still fought hard. So
Right.
before you get to those places, everybody got some type of mental issue, some form of fashion. Either we want to acknowledge it or not. Everyone. I often used to ask people, "Do you have PTSD?" And they'll say no. And then I'll ask them, "Have you ever been in a car accident?" They say, "Yeah." And I said, "How did you feel when the first time you got back in the car and you was going across that intersection? How did you feel?" They said anxiety, anxiousness, paranoia, hypervigilant. That's the criteria of PTSD because it was traumatic, it was stress, and it was a disorder. See what I'm saying?
And so, do you think that the systems that can help them plays on that, and knowing they have this and keeping denying them and keep doing this, and they just give up? Like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, I think too.
I just feel like you should be as soon as y'all come home from war, it should be a fat check. That's just how I feel. If you want to put your life on the line, you should get broke off as soon as you get home. This is my opinion, though. But who am
Yeah,
I? I
I
never been in
mean,
the service.
yeah, I think about watch this. I think about those 2 checks that I got while I was in combat. Now, of course, I didn't spend it. You know, my family had everything put away, so of course, I had a lot of money to come home to. But considering 24 hours, 7 days a week, war zone fighting, killing,
Right.
and seeing all that death, all that the burns, the dead people.
You can't be
Yeah,
normal after that. There's no way you're normal after
no, you
experiencing
would
that.
not be normal. You
Right.
listen, you would not be normal. Coming home, you're talking about the way you conceptualize a siren is totally different now because
Right.
that was that
Exactly.
war sign. You're talking about being able to to smell, to seeing
Mm.
things, not being able to get good night's sleep, and
My guy
also,
explained about dreams. My guy, I told you, Murder always talk about dreams like nightmares. He couldn't
yeah,
sleep. Everything would close his eyes. He thought about that kid's brain that he had to blow out because he was about to try to kill one of his, his military soldiers or one of his what am I supposed to call you guys? Marines. One of his Marines.
yes,
So
hard
I
charges,
just
double dog. Put some respect
yeah.
on it.
So that's a, yeah. So I don't know, man. I just like yeah. Yeah, I just don't
Well,
understand some things about society and who we give value to. I remember being in doing a bring your parents to work day, a career day at school, and it was a guy there. It was a military guy telling me his career. Half
mhm,
his face is blown off, but all the kids want to come to me, and I'm looking
yeah,
like I just played
you
football.
were going.
This dude's the reason you can sit in school and feel safe, and he done blew off half his body's blown off, but you ain't paying no attention to him. You giving me all the love. And I felt guilty for a minute. Like, dang, like he should get more praise because he undone. Like he sacrificed a lot more than I did. You know what I'm saying? Even though I
Yeah,
put myself through the ringer, I got paid well for it. This dude didn't get paid. He got paid, but he didn't get. I don't think he was compensated enough for what he did to his body, in my
yeah,
opinion. And so I just after meeting him, that's when I decided that this is the way I'm thinking now about why I think soldiers should get paid a lot more. But it's so many of y'all. I don't know. It's just I don't know. I don't think it's fair. But
yeah.
who am I?
I mean, a lot of things aren't fair, and I remember when they was giving me a meritorious promotion, and I was like, listen, I don't want I don't want no meritorious promotion. Give me money. You know what I'm saying? A lot of money, not that little rank structure. And I remember I wasn't going to re-up. I was like, no, I'm done. You know, I don't want no meritorious promotion. I don't want anything. If you want to give me anything, give me $1 million. You know,
Do y'all
because
get
I
paid
just
more
went over
money?
there.
Do y'all get more money as y'all rank up?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So somebody
That's
with a purple
anything. You know,
heart. So somebody with a purple heart, would they get money for that purple heart or just get a medal?
those no, those are not compensations. They're just acknowledgments.
That's what I'm saying. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, I know because
What do you got to do
there's
to get a purple heart? You got to be like the man in them. You got to do something really heroic to get a purple heart, right?
for the most
There
part
should
just
be a
be
$1
there.
million check
Yeah,
connected to that doggone. It should be $1 million check attached to that. This is my
yeah,
opinion. But yeah,
yeah.
like
I definitely understand. It's almost like you know getting an attaboy but you want some financial compensation to it. You know,
right.
and I definitely understand. And I have my own opinion about things because the what I've received, but
I know you can't
I
talk too
almost
much. Yeah, but I get it.
yeah I
Yeah,
gave up a
yeah.
little hope because I'm like kind of things I've done in combat,
Right.
and I'm like what I did, and what I did I could share it with you. I went across minefields and rescued a person, and another person died in my arms. Blood was everywhere, and the other person I carried back. And I risked myself going across minefields. I could have died, but I cared about life. But I risked my life. Remember, after seeing all that, but going out there and so sometimes you get discouraged. You forget about it. You're like, hey, because again, no one's going to give you anything if you don't care enough for yourself. They're not going to. So, not saying they won't compensate you or reward you, but when people just get things, they don't feel like when they don't earn it, they just take it for granted. And so that's why I have a level of appreciation for the benefits that I do receive, and how instrumental it was for allowing my kids to go to school for free. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
And that,
right,
I
right,
see
right.
that. So the bottles half full because
Mm-hmm.
how you can
You
say
saw
they didn't
some
have to
benefits
do
from
it.
right.
Yeah, we complain, but my kids are able to go to school for free. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
which is a blessing. So I'm not going to kick the military and say it wasn't worth it. It wasn't. It's just that you just wish you can get more, but you have to understand you got so many people in the military who went to combat, and then we have a budget, and we're talking about complaining about taxes and everything. You're talking about millions of people, and how would they get millions of dollars?
That's
So you
another
have to
thing. Y'all
factor in
pay
a lot of that
taxes?
stuff. It's just like being
Y'all pay taxes?
no.
Soldiers don't have to pay taxes.
Um, Veterans who are rated
Veterans,
at 100.
well, yeah, 100. So
Veterans who are rated
veteran
100%.
don't have to pay
Veterans
taxes.
who are rated 100. Veterans who are rated 100%.
Don't pay taxes.
You understand? No, on
Okay,
their benefits,
I agree with
and
that.
and,
I
and
like that. I like
yeah,
that.
and
They
in
shouldn't.
addition, I'm going to share some other things. So this is what I'm saying. There's a lighter side. So
Right.
again,
Okay. I'm
you were
listening.
talking about here in America. You know how you have to save a lot of money, but it's hard to save money when you're working, paying bills, and take care of family. And so you end up being in a rat race of not being able to afford a house.
Right.
But with the military, you can get those VA loans and zero
Yeah, I
down
know about
payment.
that. I know
So
about
those
that.
are
And
things,
my wife
yes.
just did that for
And then you
somebody.
have that 100% where you know, like I don't have to worry about tags, you know, paying for tags and all that. I get
Okay.
my tags free. Those are things. So you can look at those things and say, you know what, I'm happy
You
about
have
that.
some benefits. So you have some good benefits. Okay, that's good.
Yeah. So
I
you
think
have to
that's
look at
good.
those things.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
you're talking about certain things like you can have your DD two
Healthcare.
14. You can get your.
Healthcare,
I'm
right?
going
You
to tell
have
you
good.
about that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you don't. For example, I'm going to share with you. So, like your DD 214, you can get your concealed license. You know, it's shorter. You know, things go faster. But healthcare. Now, I'm going to show you this. Now, think about me being an entrepreneur, and
Mhm.
you know, you work a few hours or whatever, and you know how you know, when you have 100%, you don't have to worry about your medical. You know, even if you didn't have 100%, as a veteran, those benefits you can get your medical benefits, and then you get 100, you get free dental. And dental, we all know, is very expensive. You know, so there are things you have to really consider and try to have a mindset that the bottle's half full and not half empty. You understand? You know, it's the same thing when you know, being a professional athlete. You get compensated well, but it don't mean they're gonna take care of it for you the rest of life. So whatever things you have is like being a good steward with what you have. You understand?
Right. Right. Yeah. Financial literacy
Because I
is
mean, watch this.
something.
Yeah. So so think about when you graduate out of college, you're not graduating with a big check. So let's say, watch this. So let's say you go to college, you get drafted, right? You get a signing bonus, right?
Yes.
Hello? Okay, you get a signing bonus, and then you get a contract. So let's say you get a 3-year contract minimum, right? And you get a minimum of a mil each year. So you got your
Right.
signing bonus, and then you play that 1 year, but you don't perform well. So your contract is voided. Think about that. You got that signing bonus and that first year, even though it's taxes on it, but you 1 year out of college. Look at the financial advantage you have. Consider the average person graduating college, they're not getting some big signing bonus or anything like that,
Right.
you know? So what you have to really appreciate it and be a good steward of what you do have. Because at the end of the day, those signing bonus look pretty sweet. And then 1 year of compensation, we're talking about a good income that you can make some really good choices and change your future. You know, I made pretty good every year, and I lived a very good life. So you gotta really think about, you know, about
Yeah, I
spending.
got
I
you.
mean, bro, me and you've been friends for a long time, and you're smart with yours. You know.
What I'm saying though, I get what you're saying. I mean, that is true. It's up to us to do. You got to look at the pros of your situation. Like you said, most people get out of college, they don't get a check, and I think that's when I think about what I want people when I look 2, 3 years down the line from this show. What I want people to take away, what I'm thinking, what I want people to take away is not just the players and the families understand that you're gonna spend more life after the game than in the game. You're gonna have a longer life after military than while you're in the military. And I want them to see the life after
Mm-hmm.
that and what you're gonna need to adjust. You gotta adjust to health care, all these other benefits and stuff you go through to understand that you need to each moment you have in there, each check you get while you in these systems, you need to value it and really understand that you're going to need to take these resources and live 40, 50 more, 60 more years with them. And so that's the
Absolutely.
takeaway. That's the takeaway I really want outside of the injuries and what guys dealing with in the military and in professional sports is you got to understand that your life afterwards is going to be a lot longer than your life in, and you need to compensate, you need to adjust and prepare accordingly. And that's what I want guys to see.
Yes, absolutely.
And I thank my
Yes.
ex-wife for this, because when my first second 20 years, I'm from Detroit, hood brother from Detroit. I was blowing money at the bars, buying all types of stuff. And my ex-wife, who was, I forgot what she was doing. She had a job somewhere, had to pay my rent one month, and I made $300,000 in this last year and a half, and she had to pay my rent. And she looked me in the face like, "What you gonna do if you keep living like this?"
Really?
Yes, my ex-wife,
Yeah.
and she put me on. She taught me how to budget. She taught me how to invest. She taught me about insurance policies, and she put me on a budget that I still live to this day. She gave me a certain. No, I give myself allowance, and
Oh.
and that's how I learned. I learned from my ex-wife, even though she took some money with her when she left me. She taught me how to reinvest what I have now.
Hey.
Now. But I can't imagine what type of situation I would be in right now if I didn't get that lesson from her. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so
Hey,
I
ladies
think
and
that,
gentlemen, man.
so a
Ladies
lot
and
of these
gentlemen,
boys come in there, they in the
he
league,
has.
they want to ball out and spend money. They ain't thinking you only gonna
Yeah.
play
Yeah.
2, 3. I paid 9 years. I was like 30 some years old. Most
Hmm.
men don't even make their money. The real world, they don't even make money until about that age, 30, 40. Not no real money
Yeah.
until you're in your
50.
40s.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
now I gotta figure out if I'm gonna
Hmm.
live to 90, I gotta feel like what I'm gonna do for the next 60 years with this money. And people, you're not thinking like that when you're in the game. You're not thinking like that.
Yeah.
And so I just want guys to be aware of that and be more financially illiterate and financially conscious. You know what I'm saying? Because the
Mm.
injury you can get can limit how much money you can make after the game as well. You can't stand up on, you can't
Yeah.
work at the plant
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Detroit if you can't stand up and
Fact.
do this. You can't do certain things. You got a bad
Fact.
leg or a bad ankle or a bad back. So you need to
Hmm.
budget accordingly. So that's another thing I want to get into as well, is financial literacy.
Hmm.
A program on that eventually, just to make these guys aware, of adjusting to life after all the lights are gone. You're gonna have to learn to adjust and
Yes.
become civilian and live like a man making. Man told me if I'm making $1 million a year, somebody should be living like a man making $100,000 a year while I'm playing.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was some of the best advice I got
Well.
from my ex-wife's father, who was an accountant for all the DMVs in Maryland. So yeah, so that's
Wow.
that's that's later down the road, but that's one of my takeaways as well. Just helping these guys prepare
Mhm.
after the game, man, because it's men. I mean, like hey, some guys are going through it, bro. Just imagine your back messed
Yes.
up,
Yeah.
your wheelchair up. You went from making 20 million, now you only even living on Social Security. Your pride, your
Mm.
ego. You don't want to see people. You're embarrassed. That's a lot, man.
Yeah.
And we just help these guys be more financially aware of what they're going through and the importance of budgeting for after this game is over with. But that's my
Yeah.
last. I'm wrapping up. That's my last
Wow.
little spill. But go ahead, bro. What were you want to
Okay.
say?
Well, no, I appreciate your transparency because the decade plus we've been knowing each other. I just was wondering why you were so. I'm not gonna say cheap, frugal, but obviously I know now why
Mhm.
you were so wise with your money. I see, and I'm glad you was able to acknowledge that, man. Because I always admired you that you was a smart brother with your money. You know, I always admired that. So, I see, I see. So I just want to tell everyone thank you. Tonight wasn't just about football; it was about growth, survival, masculinity, pain, success, and learning how to keep living after the dream is over. So we would like to say to our Life After the Gridiron family, we will continue empowering, we will continue serving and enlightening and educating. And also, listen, if you're interested, we got a my co-host, Who the Hell Are We? Man, you need to purchase that book. It's a powerful book. I remember when he wrote it, and I was able to read it. Man, I'm telling you, it's a story, but you need to support him. And before we close out, how would they be able to get that book?
You can go to Amazon.com, type in my name, Lionel, Lional, Dalton, Dalton, or you can type in who the hell are we in that Amazon search engine. You can DM me on my Facebook at Lionel Jellyroll Dalton, as Lionel with an A, and Instagram is the exact same spelling. and I'll send you an autographed copy if you DM me. I can mail it to you directly with autographed copy. And it's good for anybody, not just sports. Anybody who's trying to adjust in life, you're going through a loss, you're going through a career change, any of that. It's just talking about it was me trying to figure out who the hell am I outside of the game of football. And I went on a journey, eat, pray, love. I traveled and I realized that who I really was after the experiences I had in this book. And so it's a great read. It shows a boy turning into a man. You pretty much saw the evolution of my life in this book, and I shared it with the people, and I appreciate you guys who support me.
Well, again, we thank you. We love you. We mean it. And join us each and every Tuesday with Life After the Gridiron with Dr. Brother Suave and Lionel Jellyroll Dalton. Peace.
Peace.
Friday night lights, college dreams. But most players never make it past high school. When the dream ends, life just begins. Some made the league, but when the game ends, depression, anxiety, financial ruin.
Welcome to the Conscious Conversations Network, where the real get honest and the silence finally gets broken. In partnership with the Jellyroll Effect. J for the journey. To enlightenment. Through liberation.
Of life and finding yourself. From the highs of the spotlight to the battles nobody sees after the final whistle.
We proudly present Life After the Gridiron.
Our goal is to highlight the realities they face after service and to align with these institutions to bring support and real solutions. This is about respect and before making any changes to your diet, medication, exercise, or treatment plan. Life After the Gridiron.
Welcome to Life After the Gridiron, where two brothers from two different battlefields come together with one mission. One, a former professional athlete who knows the glory, pressure, and pain behind the game. The other, a decorated military veteran, and together we pay homage to the forgotten heroes. Our brothers, our friends, the warriors who gave everything on the field and on the front lines, but were left fighting silent battles alone. We're here to tell their stories, bring awareness, and help create real solutions so they can receive the care, support, and peace they deserve. Let's talk about it on Life After the Gridiron.